Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Vendetti, and today I want to do a training where I can show you how to make 30 posts for the month in 30 seconds. It'll be using AI and Canva, and it does require the Canva Pro subscription, so I will start with that and the bulk create feature. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. All right, so as you can see, we've got an Instagram feed up. And very often on Instagram, we want to keep our colors and our branding in mind and keep our pictures vibrant to catch people's eye. Okay, so for this one, we're obviously talking about travel, but I want to kind of give you an example of the month of March. I used a lot of green. Okay, in green, we think of kind of St. Patrick's Day, grass, spring. Okay, so I used a lot of green in between my pictures of locations here. Then as I transitioned more into April, okay, they got more springy, okay, and then you can kind of see my branding colors take back over for this month of kind of like the teals, the pinks, the purples, okay? So that's pretty much how my branding is. And when people see my posts, they start to associate Seabreeze travel adventures with those colors, okay? And when they're scrolling and somebody looks at your profile and somebody says, "How does your grid look?" That is referencing the last 9 squares. Okay, so when you look at somebody's profile, the last 9 is what they consider their Instagram grid. So as you can see, the corals, the pinks, those are staying together. So I'm going to show you how to make a whole month's worth of posts in 30 seconds. So this starts with ChatGPT. Okay, it will make simple quotes for you in no time at all. Okay, so I've already started a prompt here. Okay, so write out 30 unique travel sayings and statements. I had them formatted in a CSV style. Okay, that's just kind of how computers transfer data, and I'll show you what that means here in a second. Okay, for this one, I'm doing the month of May. Okay, so I asked it write 30 unique travel sayings and statements, keep them to one sentence long, display them in a CSV style, and reference the month of May. Okay, so it went ahead and gave me these quotes. Now, because they are not actual quotes by people, and I want to make it easier on myself, I went ahead and asked it to remove the quotation marks. Okay, so you get two versions here, one where they create a list for you. Okay, and it also gave me a CSV file. Okay, but if you don't want to do it that way, I can show you a really simple method that once it produces this, you can put it in a spreadsheet. Now, if you don't have Excel, you can stay right in Google Chrome and then just start a new Google spreadsheet. Okay, so I literally just copy and paste. I've got my 30 days, my 30 quotes. So I'm just going to go ahead here. I'm just going to copy them. Okay, and then I'm just going to put it into my spreadsheet and I put it on line 2. Okay, I do this so that on line 1, I include the word quote. Okay, you can put the word saying because it doesn't actually have an author. Okay, but for the moment, we're just going to use the word quote. Okay, so that lets us know what is in this column. Now, if you had an author, what you would do is go ahead and put author in this column, and then all of your authors would be listed in this column under here. Okay, but for this purpose, we're just going to keep it simple with non-licensed sayings that reference travel, the month of May. Okay, so now I'm just going to save this and then I will switch over to Canva. Okay, so I'm going to download it here. Okay, all right, so we're going to go over to Canva. And I started with just an Instagram post square. Okay, so for the sizing, you're going to see here, it is when you're on social media, Instagram posts are 1080 by 1080. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. So I'm going to go ahead and title this May 30 posts in 30 seconds. Okay, and now is when I start my designing. Okay. So for my colors and my brand, I obviously have like the teal and the pink and the colorful ones. So I want pictures that go along with that to support my brand. You can use whatever colors, whatever image graphics you want. Okay, so I'm going to start with some beachy pictures. So this one pretty much matches my brand. So I'm going to use this as the background. So you just set the image as background. Okay. Then I'm going to add some text. That's so I can see what the quote is going to look like on my screen. Okay, so you could change the color of your font. You can change the type of font, bold, etc. So let's take a look here. I know one of my favorites is more of like a typewriter font. Okay, so I'm going to use this one, ITC American Typewriter. I'm going to make it bold. Okay, so already you can see it changes here. So for the purpose of this, you don't have to put the actual quote, okay? But it gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. So we'll say, travel more, worry less. Okay, just so we can kind of see how it would look on our graphic. Okay, so I just paste that in. So black doesn't quite go with my brand. Okay, so I'm going to kind of switch to a color that looks good. As you can see here, if you do have Canva Pro, you can go ahead and create your brand colors. That makes it really simple to go ahead and pick a color. Okay, so I'm going to say yes. All right, if this is the only thing that's going to be on this page, I'm going to want it bigger. Okay, so you can just change it, make it whatever size you want. Okay, I want it to kind of be right in the center here. Now keep in mind when the data pulls, wherever the top of your text box is where all of the information is going to go. Okay, so let's say it's a quote that's going to take up 6 lines. It's going to end up looking like this. Okay, so what I suggest is moving the text box to the top. That way, even if it's a small quote, once they're generated, you can just move it down, but you're not missing any text and doing extra work. Okay, so I'll show you how that would look. See if we just put quote, quote, quote. So if we don't start the text box till here, we're missing part of that quote. Okay, so I like to start mine a little further up. Going to delete this for now. Okay, you can also change line spacing. Okay, so you can change the color, you can change the font, and this button right here changes the spacing between both the letters and the lines. So sometimes I like my words to come a little bit closer, especially if that's all that's going to be in the graphic. Okay, so I'll center that here in the grid, make it a little bit larger. So I'm going to like how that looks, but I know some of my quotes are going to be longer. So I'm going to bump it up here to the top. Okay, but still keep it centered. Now, if I were to connect the data right now, I would get 30 posts that all look like this. Okay, but sometimes you want to switch it up. You still want quotes, but you want more than one graphic. So I'm going to show you both ways. Okay, so bulk create is what makes all of this happen. Okay, so you can enter it manually or you can upload data. So this is that CSV file I was talking about. Okay, we downloaded it. 30 travel quotes in 30 seconds. Okay, so as you'll see here, it pulls up quote. Okay, travel more, worry less, may your journeys, etc. So we can go back and check, and that is indeed what was in our list. Okay, so now I need to get this graphic to have this data. Okay, so it's super simple. Once you've done it, you just click on the text box that you have and you clicked connect data and it's going to want you to choose. Okay, so remember how I said if you had an author, the author would be the second line item here. So you would choose either quote or author. So for this one, I'm just going to choose quote. Okay, this bracket is showing you that the quote in the column of the different sayings that we have is now connected. Okay, so all you have to do is hit continue. It's going to show you all of them. Okay, so it's got all 30. Then you just hit generate 30 designs. It's going to take it a second. And then now you'll notice I have 30 designs with all 30 quotes. Okay. Now, see how I said for some of them, they're going to be long? So they're actually pretty good. For my smaller ones, all you have to do, you can leave them up there and add your branding, or you can drag them to the center, drag them where you like. But for the most part, they're all sitting where I need them to. Now from here, you could put these in, you could schedule them just as they are. Okay, just add branding, graphics, your website, something that lets your clients know this is coming from you. Okay, when they see a post, you want them to kind of associate colors with you, logos, information. Okay, you want to have that following that can just as they're scrolling, they see you. Okay, and they know, oh, that's a post from such and such brand or person. Now, sometimes you don't want all of these for a month. Okay, I like to sprinkle quotes in between. Okay, so I've got a quote here, but I don't necessarily want this same picture. You can, okay, so you can have that same background throughout the month. But let's say I want to have 3 different backgrounds. Okay, I'm going to show you a way to have these same quotes, but in 3 different options. Okay, so we started with this first one. Okay, I'm going to undo the data so that I can show you how it looks from the very beginning. Okay. And don't forget, you've got a whole tab here with all your other ones, so you're fine to go back and start another one. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put in, as if this was a brand new document, I'm going to show you how you would do all 3. Okay. So again, we're going to put this same one. Okay, I'm going to add a text box. Now for this one, I'm going to show you how it works. If you just use the word quote, you don't even have to use the words of your first quote. Okay, I know we liked that American typewriter in the bold, and we did that one in teal. I want it to be a little bit larger. Okay. Now remember, your quote's going to have more than one word. So you can just do quote, quote, quote to kind of show yourself how it's going to look. Okay. I'm going to move it to the top so that in a quote that has multiple lines, it comes out correctly. It's probably going to be a little bit large, so I'm going to squeeze it down just a bit. Okay. Keep it right here in the center. Okay. So I kind of like how that one looks. So now I'm going to add a second page. Okay. So in keeping with that same one, like for my branding, I want like a teal water view. Okay. I love this one. It's like you're looking down at the clear ocean. Same thing. You set it as the background. Okay. You can move it around if it's a larger image. You can just double click. Okay. I'm fine with it right where it's at. So I'm just going to leave it alone. So again, I want to add text to show myself where my quote would go. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and add another text box. Okay. You can leave it as your paragraph text. Again, it doesn't quite matter right now. Okay, I don't like the black look, but I want it, so I want it white. I think that'll pop. Now, if you're having trouble picking colors, also it'll show you the photo colors. Okay, so you can see that these are the 2 pinks that are used from this graphic. Okay, so for this one, I've got some of these options, but I wanted to pop a bit more, so I'm going to use, whoops, I changed the background. Select your text box and then change it to white. Okay. Now I want to add a little more pizzazz. So you can go here to effects. Okay. You've got all different options: shadow, lift, hollow, outline, etc. Okay. For this one, I think I'm going to do a shadow. Okay. So see how that second color kind of showed up shadow? But I want one of my brand colors. Okay. Now it's got pink and it's lighter. So what you can do is just change the transparency. Okay. So this would be if it was at a full 100, but I kind of like that. That way it still pops. Okay. And for this one, I don't really want to have the same text. So let's pick another one. I'm going to take out that previous one. You can see I've already kind of searched a few that I tend to use. And if you are using Canva Pro as well, another feature is for your brand kit. You can go ahead and save the fonts that you like for your titles, your subtitles, your headings, etc. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to use Chloe. Okay, I like that. I'm going to shorten this and bring it in just a little bit. you'll see those guidelines for spacing. Okay, so I'm going to bring mine in just a little bit like that. Okay, again, you can change the line spacing. Okay, if you want your words together, you can do kind of a few more lines to see how you like it. I think that's going to be perfect. I'm going to put it up top for my longer quotes. Okay, so we did the same thing. I'm going to shorten up this spacing just a bit. Okay, so now we've got very similar ones, but two different backgrounds. Okay, so I'm going to choose one more, and then that way throughout what we're referencing as our grid, okay, so I can have one here, one here, one here, and have them as three different backgrounds for the whole month. Okay, so I'm going to make one more. I'm going to make this one beachy as well. Okay, that's still kind of got that teal brand color, the white sands. I'm going to put this as the background, kind of make sure it's centered up where I want it. Perfect. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to add a text box for my reference. Okay, so I've done these two types of fonts. So for this one, I want to do a bit more of like a cursive, fancy type font. Okay. I like this one. It's more like a cursive type handwriting font. Okay. Black again's not quite with my brand, so I'm going to change this one. I think, yeah, I like that. Because let's say you have more lines. It's going to really pop. Okay. Now for this one, I'm going to put it right about here to start. Okay, because some of them, because we've chosen shorter, we've asked ChatGPT to give us shorter quotes. I want a lot of them to be in this visible space. So I'm going to have it start right about here, and then I can always adjust. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's centered. This one, I feel like the lines are pretty close, so I'm not going to really mess with any of the spacing. Okay, so here's my three designs. Okay, so I've got my first one, got my second one, got my third one. Okay. Now, the same process that we did when we attached the bulk data to here, we're going to do the same process again, okay? So you click on that bulk create button, okay? Upload data. I'm just going to choose that same one we just did. Okay, so again, the data field it found was this quote column, okay? So all you have to do, I'm going to start on my first one. You click it, connect data. Again, it's going to want to know which field, okay? I'm going to choose quote. Now, because I want the option of all three of these, I'm going to do it the same way. So I'm just going to click on the second one, click on the second text box, and connect data. And I'm going to choose quote again. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my next square, click on the text box, and connect data. Okay. So once you've got these, this is confirmation of how it's going to read that column and where it's going to be placed. Okay. So now I'm going to get all three styles. So again, all I have to do is hit this button, continue. It's going to show you all of them. Now you do have the option. Let's say you didn't want to do number 1 or didn't want to do number 12. You can uncheck those, okay? But I want all 30 so that the month is done. So I hit generate 30 designs. And you can do more than 30 at once, okay? I'm just showing you an example of like the month of May or any month in general. Okay, so if you wanted to do 28 for February, 31 for another month, that's fine. I just like to do an average of 30 because in Facebook Meta Business, you can only schedule out 30 days. Okay, so now you'll see my first quote was travel more, worry less. Okay, so this is what it looked like with all the same design, but all of my quotes. This one is how it looks like with the same quote, but 3 different designs. Okay, so they're all the same. So you have the option. So when you're looking at it, this grid view, Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like in your Instagram feed. So if you just picture like instead of this one being a quote, this was like a destination, and then this one was a destination. Okay, so it's going to have a lot of those options that still hold your branding. Okay, so I want to go back to the individual view. Okay, and so now you've got 90 posts. Okay, and you can go through here and then start making adjustments. Okay, so for this one, I want it to kind of be on 2 lines. Okay, perfect. Then I can just center it, put it how I want. Again, if you want to change your line spacing, you can do that. You can do whatever you want. Now, I'm making these without branding because I'm going to include a link to all 90 of these, all kind of straightened out and centered for you. Okay, but I will show you how you could add your branding from the beginning so that you don't now have to go in and add a text box. Okay, so I'll show you how that looks. So this is the one that we've already connected. Okay, so I've got my quote. Okay, but if I forget, oh, I wanted to add my branding. Super simple to just go back and do it. Okay, so again, if you used your brand kit in Canva Pro, you can go in. I want to use my transparent logo. Okay, so let's say I want to put it here. Okay, and then let's say I want to include my website at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to add a text box. All right, so let's say all I want to do is just put that web address. Change it to a color that pops. There we go, I like that one. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste these two. Okay, so I'll hold shift to click them both and hold them both, right click and hit copy. Now, wherever they are on this page, if I go to page 2 and I right click and hit paste, it's going to paste them right where they were on the other page. Okay, so that way you're not trying to keep that circle or whatever type of your logo is in the same spot. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to change this one to pink. Okay, and then I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to do an outline this time of white. Okay, kind of make it a little bigger. Okay, so you have total options here of what you want to do. And then same thing for this one, I want to add my branding here. Fine with the logo being up there. I'm going to put this probably in my teal color. Okay, so same thing. I go to the bulk create. I've already got the data in there. And even if you didn't, you would just do the same process, okay? Click on bulk create, upload your file, hit continue, make sure which ones you want selected, and then hit generate. So now you'll see on every single one, my branding is already there. So now all I have to do is move things around, okay? So like we did before, I want this one on 2 lines. I can move it, change some of the spacing, okay? And that one's really pretty much done. Okay, I can still move all of these elements, but at least they're already there. And if I want them to stay there, that's fine too. So for this one, it's a smaller one. So I'm going to spread it out. Okay. Change some of this line spacing. Make sure it's centered. Okay. And I'm good to go. Same thing. I want this one to kind of pop down here. I want it on 2 lines. Make it a little bit bigger. Boom. Okay. So that takes so much less time. Now, let's say you want to recycle these next May, or if we hadn't used the word May in any of these, maybe you wanted to use the same posts next month, okay, or the same quotes and sayings next month, or for June or something like that. Okay. Another option you can do, okay, let's say for 1 month you only wanted to do this teal color, you can move them. Okay, so when you're in grid view, all you have to do is click and drag. Okay, so let's say I want just these pink and teal. When I download, I can go like this and I can move them. Okay, so you have the option to make one of just that graphic, all three, or you can have the branding. Okay, now another thing you can do as well, when you go to download, okay, you'll be able to see them. Do you want all 90 pages? So you can see little previews. Okay, you know these two are the same quote, so maybe you don't want to use those. You just uncheck it. Okay, but maybe this time I want the pink one and the teal one, but the next one I want the water. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one and take out these two. Okay, so you can do it in that view. Okay, so that is how you can make literally 30 posts in 30 seconds, or even make 90 posts in 30 seconds. Okay. All right. If you don't mind subscribing, my channel's new. I'd love to have you follow. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. Have a good day.